Alright, welcome back everyone. So, today I decided I was going to talk a little bit about something known as the Hermetic Principles. I know a lot of you out there like to call it Neo-Hermetica, which, it is what it is, and I'm not saying that, either way is more or less valid. However, I will go over something very important that a lot of you seem to kind of not fully understand. And for a lot of you that do understand, you don't really actually practice it. I know, because I was one of said people that didn't really practice what I know. So I want to start the first off by saying, there's a lot of people out there that can get rich. I mean, it's a dime a dozen, and you see it all the time. People get rich. However, what we rarely see is people that stay rich. Because, well, truth be told, a lot of people that get rich, they still have a poverty mindset. And so they just kind of have these one-off successes followed by, going back to the same old stuff, or even worse. They spend themselves into debt, and now it's gotten really bad. Look, I'm not saying or talking about anything that I haven't experienced myself. I have experienced these things myself. However, I decided now that I would talk about the Hermetic principles. If you understand the Hermetic Laws and you understand the Hermetic principles, then it makes a lot more sense as to why things are the way they are. Why the world operates the way it does, why contracts are the way they are, and why governments are the way they are, and why they operate the way they do, and why they seemingly oppress us the way they do. Now, I'm not saying that they don't suppress us, or I should say oppress us. Little slip up there. I'm not saying that at all, but if you understand the laws of contract, the laws of divine oneness, and many other laws, then it makes a lot of sense to you why our systems are the way they are. And how a lot of you can actually use this to your advantage rather than hating on the system and, wanting to burn it all down. Because, I mean, sure, you could do that. I mean, every system, comes and goes. I mean, everything has its, ups and downs, its rises and falls. But, I mean, is that really what you want to do? Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of people, they do really want that. They really just want to watch the world burn. They don't want to have a good life, or they want to have a good life so that they can use said good life as just a means to cause destruction to others. It happens more often than you think. Because what I'm talking about here is understanding something versus practicing something on a regular basis. On a regular and consistent basis. Look, knowing something, reading a book and understanding it, it's not going to lead to this, grand enlightenment and all of a sudden life gets better, as a lot of us make it out to be. Or, as I should better and more accurately say, a lot of you, and, at one point me included, I included, make it out to be that that's the way we interpreted it. Well, that's part number one, understanding the sign of Gemini, the twins. The Fifth Amendment doesn't just exist to protect criminals, the right to remain silent. Nor does the First Amendment simply exist because, it's just a polarity play. Well, I mean, the polarity play was simply used by, certain people to take advantage of it. A lot of these, events that happen, more often than not, they're not really staged per se. They're just taken advantage of. That's the thing that a lot of people seem to fail to understand is, a lot of these so-called, staged events, I'm sure some of them are staged. I wouldn't doubt that. However, I'm also aware that sometimes, eventually things are going to happen. That's, the law of chance, the law of miracle, or better yet, chance is simply law unknown. There's no such thing as chance. Everything follows law, and everything follows order in the universe. If you flip the coin so many times, you're eventually going to get both heads and tails. You roll the dice so many times, you're going to get snake eyes, one way or the other. That's all part of it. And so that's ultimately what this channel is about. Look, this channel's not really about the woo-woo stuff. I mean, the woo-woo stuff is just part of explaining archetypes, storytelling. And, as per the law of correspondence, another Hermetic law, well, it ends up just kind of working out that way. That it ends up manifesting into our mundane reality the way it does. And that'll be about it for this one. Take care, everyone.